Hey, this is Paul, and today I'm going to show you all the different types of potting soil, and we're going to go from good to bad to horrible. So this is my personal growing mix. I do not expect people to use it, but it is pumice, a little bit of perlite number 4, peat moss or sunshine mix 4, coconut coir, humic acid, what else? Worm castings and sand. So, and I don't have exact ratios, it kind of just depends, but I use a lot of sand generally. But that's what's inside these pots. And look at our personal hybrids here. These Maria Fucsia seedling, really healthy. It's got growth already. Here's the Wallace Ranch Tribute. This is a seedling off of the Wallace Ranch hybrid. And everything's really happy, no stem rot. Now, if you don't want to do all that because of the expense, well, we have some really easy, cheap growing medias as well, which we're being really successful with. And honestly, I think pure sand works absolutely great. So I top dress with Fox Farms now, so I only put Fox Farms on the top, and that sand has been awesome. This is 100% sand. I mean, it's got a little bit of pathogens here, but that's because we're getting so much shade here. But generally, you can see these plants are really happy and healthy, and I put them in here about 8 months ago now. So they're really doing well, they rooted well, they're spreading their roots. But if you can't handle the weight of sand, because this pot is extremely heavy, 25 gallons of, or 20-gallon pot here, with full sand is, I think it was 220 pounds, something like that, of sand. But if you want something lightweight, you could see I'm using, this is just sunshine mix number 4, which I really like, and a bunch of pumice. So those 2 ingredients for this potting soil. We've done a video on that before. But look at that, we even got this Diego's Desert King to shoot new growth in the winter and root. So it was in our hothouse, so look at that. So these are 2 great cheaper ways to grow your dragon fruit in my experience, and I highly recommend both of these. So pure sand, or the really easy, thanks to Stefan Marshall, he introduced us to the sunshine mix number 4 and pumice like I described, and it's way light, it's much lighter. So let's go down the hill. I'm going to show you the Vermistera sponsored pot, and what that one is let's see, it's 50% worm castings and 50% coconut coir. And that one's all the way down here with some of our own personal hybrids. And that is here. Now, the drawback with it is it did compress over time, as you can see. So it used to be higher up in this pot, so it's gone down about 1/3. So after what I think it's been about 2 years now or so, maybe longer, and you can see it's gone down. So I'm gonna have to top dress it, and I'm gonna keep using the same materials just to see how it goes for long term. So again, this is 50% chunky coconut coir, 50% worm castings, that's it. And the plants are healthy. They had a bit of rust here, but these are our own hybrids we're evaluating. This is a soon-to-2 seedling. And generally you can see the plants are really happy. Now I used about 1/4 of this mixture in this pot, and then used the rest of my own mix, and that's working really well too. Now I do drill extra holes in these pots as well for added drainage. I think that's key. But generally you can see these plants are really happy and healthy. This is Gray Martin's opal, and it's acting like spring here already. So these growing medias, as you can see, these are all been replaced. They used to have Fox Farms, and now they're all been replaced. I have 0 Fox Farms in most of the yard. Let's go up the hill now, and I'll show you one that has some Fox Farms still, and let's see if there's a difference in the plant health. All right, so here is Caslau. Hopefully you saw our other video when we moved this plant from Danny's house. And this plant is too large. I tried to repot it this summer. I got a little bit of the Fox Farms out, and it's on year 2 for this pot. And generally, I think that this plant looks pretty healthy. It does have a little bit of sun damage. I did get a little bit of rot in different parts of the plant. I had to cut off a branch here. Got a little rot over here. But generally, I would say at year 2 with amended Fox Farms, this plant, oh, there's some rot, is generally pretty healthy. I mean, I think it's, personally, when there's compost in the soil, I feel like these plants are less sun tolerant and less cold tolerant, in my humble opinion. Or
what is the soil mix on this one?
Well, this one is amended Fox Farms. So I used back then, that was pumice, perlite, vermiculite, Fox Farms for the majority of it, and no sand back then. So a lot of coconut coir though. I did use that, and worm casting. So generally this plant's pretty happy. You can see this is Maria Fucsia that also had that old mixture, and I was able to get about 3/4 of it out of this pot, and I repotted it in the fall. And look at it, it's really healthy and happy too.
That one looks really healthy.
It's got some damage though, but it's putting out a bunch of buds, but you know, the buds that turn to branches. And I would say generally this plant it's a little bit better overall health-wise, and that's still has half Fox Farms in this pot and half of our new mix, which is the compost free. So I'm noticing generally that just my hypothesis, I guess, again, is that I feel that when there's a lot of compost in the soil, after about year 3 to year 4, these plants are just less tolerant of the extreme weather conditions. So with really healthy potting soil, with compost-free potting soil, I should say, I'm just seeing a better overall health of the plant. So that's my experience in this part of the yard. We actually have some that are about 4 years in Fox Farm, so let's go check those out and see what they look like now. Okay, so this is another part of the yard where these have not received any Grow Power Plus, but they've been in Fox Farm, amended Fox Farm potting soil for 3.5 years, and look at the overall health of the plant. So I did fertilize last season, and every year I fertilize, but generally, when the Fox Farm even amended, which has, I put in here pumice, well, mostly Fox Farms, pumice, perlite, vermiculite back then. And so by year 3.5 or year 3, you can see there's just a lot of damage. The plants didn't grow very well. The drainage is poor. And if you watched our video where we interviewed Gary Matsuoka, he taught us that all these ground up dead trees in your potting soil are bad in the long term because they're gonna make the soil anaerobic and it will actually kill the roots. And the drainage is poor as well. I think this one might be doing a little okay better because there's actually a hole in the side of the pot. And there's added holes on the bottom, but still really slow growth. The color is much different than the other part of the yard. You can see they just get progressively worse. Here's another undatus, a lot of pathogens. It's really yellow, a totally different color. It's like lime green. And again, all these are in Fox Farms. Here's one that's one even older, and it climbed up this whole palm tree, as you can see. This is our little long-term experiment to just let it cruise up a palm tree. It's still never flowered. And you can see the plant health isn't that happy. I see fungus up there, I see pathogens, I see yellowing, and this one's even worse. Look at this. So my hypothesis is that, again, this is a sunnier part of the yard, so when these plants are in compost, they're gonna be less tolerant to cold and heat. They won't die. I mean, you can see how resilient these plants are, but man, this is not what you want. It's not healthy. This actually lost a lot of branches, and I'm gonna move all these and repot them. You can see I have some control groups over here where these are our own hybrids, and they're just in our personal potting soil mix I talked about in the beginning, but look at the difference. Same amount of sunlight, different color, lots of new growth. So I really believe that having really healthy potting soil, compost-free potting soil, is the key to having really productive plants. So down here though, I will show you another interesting thing, is that dragon fruit plants that get a lot of shade, they do quite well with the Fox Farm potting soil or compost. You can see I have one over here that I've neglected. This whole section of the yard, sorry Scott, watch your head. But we grow a lot of plants here. And this one over here is actually really healthy. And it's in the same potting soil, but look at how little sun it gets. And it's never produced, it's climbing up this cypress tree. And it does have a lot of leaf litter from our bamboo. And the soil is really wet, but man, without a lot of sun, this plant looks pretty darn good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks healthy.
But this much shade, you're never gonna get fruit from a plant. It won't be very productive. So this thing's growing fine, but again, the key is, I think here, why this plant is healthy, it's not so much the soil, it's more about the lack of sun.
And it has a little windbreak here. Maybe
yeah, it is get a lot of protection.
A little more warmth, maybe.
Yeah, so we even have some more over here, want to see? And these ones have been a long-term experiment where I had them in Fox Farm still, which I will remove all of that this season and finish the job here. But these plants over here have always gotten about 40% sunlight, so not very much. And I just wanted to see what would happen if we neglect them and don't give them enough sunlight. And look at these, look at how little they've grown in 3.5 years. Same potting soil, same amount of water, same fertilizer, but look at how there's a lack of growth, their color's different, and they definitely need more sunlight, as you can see. So I even put one here just to grow along this vine, and I won't do that again. So I've really learned from this kind of control group, as you can see. So believe it or not, look at this plant. 3.5 years it's been in here. So that's kind of my experience of different potting soil medias for now. Let's show you one more. I have one more down here that you won't believe. So let's go. It's one of my oldest plants. Okay, now this one is probably our saddest story. This plant is over 4 years old, believe it or not. It's one of our first plants, and I just stuck it in the ground here next to this rock. So I believe our native soil, with a combination, the soil gets really dense. It's very heavy in DG, but I believe the combination of the heavy soil with a lot of shade and a cold rock, you can see it even rotted here, has led to horrible growth. I mean, look, this thing is 4 years old. It's literally like the 4th dragon fruit plant that I bought. Some no idea I got, I think it's a Home Depot or something, like fake Halley's Comet. So as you can see, I think potting soil matters. I think growing in pots can be helpful for dragon fruit depending on your native soil unless you amend it. And I think sunshine is key. So personally, I really am on this improved potting soil mission because I really am noticing growth on using these compost-free potting soils and better long-term solutions. So there you go. For what it's worth, that's my observations of using different soils and growing medias to experiment with. And as you can see, your potting soil matters from our experience. So give us a like, subscribe, we'll keep them coming. And good or bad, we'll keep showing you our journey. Have a good day.